At first, I thought Rich Dad Poor Dad was just one more book with common advice about money. But instead, what I learned actually changed the way I look at money and taught me important lessons that will improve my financial situation. In this video, I bring you the 6 main lessons I learned, and hopefully by the end of the video, you will know how to improve your financial situation as well. Let's dive in. When we are young, our parents tell us to study hard so we can get a good job, have money, and be happy. And that's what we do. We grow up, get a fine job, find someone we love and marry. We buy a beautiful house, and eventually we have our first child. That's when our expenses start to rise, and what once was a good salary, it now seems short. We work harder so we can have a promotion and solve our money problems. But when we finally land that promotion, we start to think where we can spend it. Maybe we decide to buy a bigger house or to have a well-deserved vacation. Soon, our expenses grow, and our salary seems not enough again. We need more money. We want to be rich so we don't have financial problems. We work harder and harder, but no matter how many raises we get, our expenses are always growing as well, and it seems there is no way to get out of this. Robert calls it the rat race. Most people are in this situation. It doesn't matter if you earn $3,000 or $10,000 a month, because the more you earn, the more you spend. And that is explained by two emotions that drive many of our decisions: fear and greed. Fear is what keeps us working in a job we don't like. If we quit, we may not have enough money to pay our bills. What if I quit and I can't find another job that I like? Or worse, if I can't find another job at all? What if I don't save enough money to pay my kids' college? What if we can't pay the rent and we have to go to a smaller house? Fear is always there. On the other hand, greed is always around too. As soon as we get a raise or a bonus, we think on the new possibilities. Maybe we can change to a bigger house now. I can upgrade my car, or it is finally time to take that awesome vacations we wanted. Sometimes we don't even need a raise for that, we just spend what we don't have. It is natural to want more, to desire and have a better life, but this never-ending battle between fear and greed is what keeps most of us in a constant financial struggle. Most of us are in the rat race, and the first lesson is to be aware of it. In 1998, Gerald won $10 million in the lottery jackpot. He soon did what some of us would do: bought a huge mansion and lots of cool cars for him and his friends. A few years later, Gerald was out of money. One might think this was an exception, but unfortunately winning the lottery is more often a curse than a blessing. Reportedly, 70% of people who win the lottery end up with nothing in less than 5 years. The lottery ruined my life, he said. I would say that what ruined his life was lack of financial intelligence. We usually learn about money at home with our parents. We are taught that we need to study hard and find a safe job. We should save and we should get out of debt. Investing is risky, so we should look for safe options and diversify. We are taught to join the rat race. What Robert learned from his rich dad was completely different. He should study and work to learn. He should master different areas, for example accounting. It is boring but necessary. That his mind is his best asset, so he should always grow it with knowledge and new skills. Intelligence solves problems and produces money, but money without financial intelligence is money soon gone. That is what happens to most lottery ticket winners. The main lesson is: learn to become financially intelligent. Understanding the flow of money is important, so let's see the differences between the poor, the middle class, and the rich. The poor receive their salary, pay their expenses, and don't have much left. The middle class spends most of their salary paying their liabilities, like their mortgage, their car, and credit debts. Then they pay their expenses and save what's left. The rich don't work for money, they have their income coming from their asset column. With that, they pay their liabilities, expenses, and they continue to build up their assets, increasing their income more and more. Most of us are in the middle class flow, and the main reason is that we focus first on getting liabilities instead of assets. Is a house an asset or a liability? Let's see the difference. When we buy our home, it is not an asset, it is a liability. A liability takes money out of our pocket. In contrast, if we had bought a house and rent it, then it would be an asset, because it would bring money into our pocket. Most of us focus on having more and more liabilities. We buy a house, we buy a car, we have kids, and our asset column remains empty. To get out of the rat race, it is important to focus on building our asset column first and have money flowing into our pocket. Robert makes an important distinction. If we have to trade our time for money, then it is not an asset. An asset brings money to our pocket without the need to be present, like dividends, royalties of a service or product, a self-running business, and so on. There are plenty of options, and we will talk more about that later. So, what is your business? I am a banker. Do you own a bank? No, I work in a bank. Well, then it's not your business. You work for someone else's business. For Robert, having a business doesn't mean to have a company. Any asset you have is your business. But most of us don't have any asset. Most of us work for someone else's business. The lesson number 3 is that you should focus on growing your business. Do you have stocks that pay you dividends? Do you have a small property that pays you rent monthly? You are now thinking, but I don't have money to invest in any of those. Well, there are hundreds of ways of getting passive income without a big, if any, investment. Content creation, writing a book, creating a Skillshare class, creating a new product or an app. The sky is the limit. All it requires is creativity, hard work, and continuous improvement. Focus first on creating a good asset column, and then you will have all the luxuries you want. In Portugal, almost 50% of a middle-class person's income goes to taxes. Taxes are the most expensive thing most of us will pay during life, and while it is a boring subject, it is one of the subjects a rich person needs to master. Taxes became legal long ago when the government suggested to tax the rich. As the majority was not rich, the law was approved. Funny enough, the rich have found ways to avoid being taxed so much, but as the government got used to the extra money, they started expanding taxes to the middle class, covering more and more people. In the end, the rich continue rich, but the middle class is paying the price. One of the best ways to avoid being taxed is through corporations. The rich pay their expenses and then they pay their taxes, while the poor and the middle class pay their taxes and then they pay their expenses. Let's see the difference. Imagine a scenario where both rich and middle class receive $10,000 a year. The rich has a corporation, so he can pay his expenses first and gets $5,000 left. Then he pays his taxes on what is left, bringing $3,000 home. The middle class works for someone else, so he has to pay his taxes first. He earns $6,000 after taxes, but still has to pay his expenses. In the end, there is only $1,000 left. With the same income, the rich bring home 3 times more than the middle class in this scenario. Taxes and the law work differently in different countries. The power resides in learning about it and using it in your favor. 2 friends met at a bar and ended up talking about their investments. The first one said he has bought $5,000 in the SP 500. He knows it is safe and although might fluctuate a little bit, he will earn around 10% a year. Diversity is key, he says. The second one said he bought a Bitcoin for $5,000. He loves the concept, studied about it, and didn't want to miss the opportunity to have one. The first friend called him dumb. Cryptos are risky and he may lose everything. 3 years later, the 2 friends met again. The first friend bragged about how his $5,000 are now worth $7,000. He's getting richer year after year and meanly asked about his friend's investments as he heard cryptos were going down strongly. The second friend said, "Wonderfully, the Bitcoin I bought for $5,000 was worth $50,000 last year, so I decided to sell it and I bought a small apartment to rent. Now I earn $1,000 every month without doing anything." This fake story is to illustrate that some people play to win while others play to not lose. If you want to protect your money from inflation, the SP 500 is great. But if you want to be rich, that strategy won't bring you there anytime soon. Risk is everywhere, but the more we know, the less risky it becomes. To get rich, you need to be brave more than to be smart. A great writer knows how to write great books. But to have a bestseller, he also needs to know about marketing and sales. A great nutritionist can be the best in his field. But to succeed as a content creator, he also needs to know about content creation and storytelling. A great developer can create the most amazing apps, but to get funded, he also needs to know how to pitch an idea. Society makes us believe that to succeed in life, we must be the best at a certain field. And while that may be true for some professions, most of us end up too specialized and instead of freedom, we are condemned. To succeed in such a competitive world, we must master different skills and not only one. It is like cooking a meal. You may have the best egg in the world and it will be great. But if you have a common egg, ham and cheese, you will have an omelette. When we master and put together different skills, we are able to cook something unique that may be great. Robert shares that he never stops learning. He reads a lot, he listens to audiobooks, he goes to seminars and attends specific courses. Learning is the key to success. Like Robert, I also read a lot and I work on the skills that I need to be a great YouTuber every day. This video took a lot of effort to make, so if you like it, consider subscribe and watch another one. I would recommend watching How to Protect Your Money from Inflation, or if you want to achieve your best potential, I would recommend you this one about what happens when we sleep. It might surprise you. Thank you for watching, see you on the next video.